Hi everyone, welcome to Ask an Armourer. My name's Kia and today I'll be showing you how to repair a 2-prong bodycord with a broken wire at the 2-prong end. If you have a break at the 3-prong end, this is very similar minus some details, or it's the same as fixing an épée bodycord, so you can go check out that video for specifics. The first step is to gather all of your parts and tools. You're going to need your broken bodycord and any pieces that you may be missing. So if, for example, some pins are missing or have broken tines or the case is cracked, have extras of those on hand to replace the broken parts. The tools you're going to need are a multimeter that can read down to 1 ohm resistance so it can actually give you readings fine enough, a pair of wire cutters, a pair of wire strippers, and a set of micro screwdrivers. Some optional but useful things are a magnetic bowler pad to catch any small pieces, and a large screwdriver set in case some screws need a bit more leverage than the small screwdrivers can give you. If you watched my diagnostics video, you'll want the diagram that you made then about which end is which, as well as if you mark down where the break is. As a quick recap, the diagram I use looks like this and lets me visualize and record which line and end has the break more easily. The first step is to remove the retaining clip. Carefully unscrew the screw, keeping in mind there is a spring inside. Make sure to hold the button on the other side so the entire thing doesn't launch itself across the room on you. I've lost more parts this way than I care to admit. Once this is off, making sure you've put all the pieces safely aside, you can now remove the screws holding the case together and put them in your bowl as well. Pull up the top of the case so you can see the prongs inside. Try not to let them move just yet. As a note, most breaks will occur right at the base of the case, as this is where the most fatigue wear happens when the bodycord is being bent back and forth around the hard plastic during fencing. It can look like a lot of things, such as a bump or a kink in the wire, a thinning of the wire as the copper inside is separated and it's just the insulation left, a full cut in the wire, or even nothing. You'll have to just trust your multimeter and you'll get better at seeing the break as you repair more of these. Take the wires and the prongs out of the case and gently separate the wires. They should come apart relatively easily, but if not, you can give them a start with some wire cutters, like so. Extend the separation past where the break is. Now, you're going to take your wire cutters and cut one of your wires below where you can tell the break is. This should be about an inch or so down or a couple centimeters for my non-American friends. We'll do one at a time to make sure we don't accidentally cross our wires by putting the wrong prong on the one end. It doesn't matter which one you start with, you'll be doing both anyways. Right now, I'm starting with the A line or the larger one. Once you have this cut down, you can take your wire strippers and you're just going to cut down the rubber insulating part about 1/4 inch or 1/2 centimeter down to reveal the copper or stainless steel wire inside. You make sure to do this gently to not cut the wire itself, and you may need to rotate the wire strippers a couple of times to cut all of the insulating rubber. As you can see, it's actually just a bundle of very fine fibers as opposed to one heavier wire, and because of that, I like to just twist these ends together. Again, it's not entirely necessary, but I find it makes a lot easier to work with. At this point, if you have a soldering iron, you can go ahead and do what's called tinning this end, which basically just means covering this wire in a bit of solder in order to help it form a slightly better connection to the prong. But if you don't have it, that's not a big deal. For simplicity, I won't be bothering with it in this video. Once you have your prepared wire end, you'll need to put the prong on. take it off the trimmed end by unscrewing the retaining screw and pulling out the old wire. This should only take a turn or two so the retaining screw doesn't fall out. It's possible to put it back in if it comes out all the way, of course, but there's no need to make our lives more difficult than they need to be. Slide the repaired wire back into the prong and tighten the retaining screw back down. Make sure this is snug, as it's actually just this mechanical contact that forms the electrical connection. To make sure everything is solid, I like to give a gentle tug on the prong and on the wire. Nothing should move. If there's not enough wire to form a decent hold, you may need to expose a bit more wire and fold it over itself to create a bulkier insert for the prong. Now all you need to do is repeat these steps with the second line, making sure that you trim them to be the same length, so when you put them back together, in the case it all fits together. As a final check, I always like to make sure that everything is actually still connected to the correct points. I know we carefully did one line at a time to prevent this, but I prefer a bit of redundancy in my checks so I don't have to repeat the entire process if I made a mistake. Get out your multimeter again and make sure that your B line is still indeed connected to the smaller prong. Good. And your A line is still connected to the larger prong. Good. And finally, this is honestly what I find to be the trickiest bit of fixing a bodycord, is putting the case back together. For this, you're going to need all of your case bits, your top, your bottom, your retaining clip pieces, as well as the nuts and bolts. Replace anything that was broken at this point with the new one if necessary. If you want to provide a bit more stability, put some shrink tubing on the part of the body wire that will be going through the case opening, as it does help provide a bit more support and help therefore extend the life of your bodycord. Again, it's not entirely necessary, but if you're interested, I have a separate video on how to install shrink tubing you can check out later. To put your bodycord back together, first put the prongs into their corresponding slots. The openings on the case will be slightly different sized in order to match their prongs. Now, to put the case back on without letting anything move, I like to hold it with one hand on the prongs to hold them in place, and then slide the top of the case on until that is holding the prongs in. I can transfer the hold from my original hand to the hand holding the prongs, and use my other hand to pinch this down, making sure that everything actually is slotted in together properly. Once it's all together, I can pick it up and inspect it to make sure there are no gaps in the side. This tells me that all the prongs and the wires are comfortably slotted where they need to be. With this, insert one screw and tighten it down. It doesn't matter which one you do, it will do the basics of holding the case together for now. I like to first put the nut into its slot on the case and then just hold this while I tighten the bolt into it. Finally, as I mentioned before, I always love a bit of redundancy in my testing, so I will triple check this bodycord is now fully functional. Once again, I will clip it into my multimeter with my A line connected to the larger prong, and I will do the bend and wiggle test we did earlier in the diagnostics video to make sure that there's now solid connections. We'll do this for both ends, or both prongs. And with that, I know that my connection is now solid for both. And I can go ahead and finish putting the case back together. I'll go ahead and insert the second nut and bolt and tighten that down. Most retaining clips will be comprised of 4 parts: the button, the spring, the clip, and the screw. The easiest way that I've found to do this is to take the screw and put it through the hole on the clip and put that into the hole on the clamshell, holding all of this together in my right hand. Then I take the spring and put it onto the button and place that into its slot on the clamshell. Push the button down until you can feel the two of them connect inside the case. This will take a little bit of feeling around, but once you have both, you can hold the clip together loosely by manually turning this button onto the screw. Once that's gotten a few turns on it and I know it's not just going to fall apart on me, I take my screwdriver and I tighten it down the rest of the way. And there you have it. Your Bodycord is back together and fully functional. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you've got any questions or comments, feel free to leave them for me down below. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.